In this video, we're going to cover the top 5 things that you want to buy after you buy your new Milsurp. So maybe need's not the best word for it, as my wife kind of likes to point out, like you don't really need any of this stuff. But these are things that you're probably going to want. This is stuff that I like to go after whenever I buy a new military surplus rifle. And I think that these things tend to appreciate in value. They add to a collection, and they also enhance the shooting experience of a rifle. So I highly recommend you get these. Thank you to Nathan Phillips for suggesting this video topic. It's one of those things where I read it and I was like, well, why haven't I done that before? So it's a good one. Thank you for commenting. So slings are probably the number one thing that you're going to want to buy whenever you buy a Milsurp rifle. You're going to want to get an original sling, the correct sling for that gun. Some guns that's easier than others. So like with these Swedes, the Swedish military slings are pretty inexpensive. You can find them pretty readily on eBay. They're nice. They're high quality. It's just sort of a no-brainer. When you get into other guns, though, the price kind of tends to go up. So now, me personally, whenever slings start to cost like $100 plus, whenever they start to cost more than that, I tend to start looking at reproductions, especially high-quality reproductions. Because to me, if I'm going to spend, $200-300 on a sling, I would personally rather put that money into another firearm. So whenever slings get to be that expensive, I usually just look for reproductions unless I just happen to come upon a good deal. So some of my guns have reproduction slings. So like my Gewehr 98, that has a reproduction sling because originals are pretty hard to find and very expensive. And then they might not be in the best shape that you want to actually use. So that's a good time when a reproduction would be pretty good. So I think slings are probably the most practical of all gun accessories that you could really get for a rifle. Now that sort of gets reversed, where if you're looking at a Milsurp pistol, you're going to want a holster. Here's an example of one of those. This is a Swedish Lottie holster. These are pretty cool. These are another type of holster. That the pistol itself is really expensive, but the holsters are really cheap, and they usually come with all sorts of accessories inside of them. So like they say, a sling to a rifle is like a holster to a pistol. So I think that these are both must-haves if you have a military surplus rifle or pistol. So I would say the number 2 accessory for any given military surplus is going to be, now it's kind of weird because it's not an accessory because you can shoot it, but I would say original ammunition is a really good accessory for Milsurps, especially these really cool World War II vintage ammo boxes. So this is a original box of German 8mm Mauser. These are really cool and collectible because there's all sorts of different markings, the different fonts. The Germans made all sorts of different types of 8mm ammo with different projectiles for different uses. They made ammo specifically for machine guns. They made tracer and armor piercing, and so there's a really good variety of just 8mm German ammo you could collect. And here's another one. So this is a box of M2. So it's 30-06 for the M1 rifle, and this stuff is armor piercing. So it's just it's kind of pretty, the colors and everything, and it's just one of those things that it looks good up on the wall or in a display case or something like that, like next to the gun. It looks really good to have a box of the original ammo with the gun. You probably don't want to shoot this stuff. It's getting pretty expensive, but it's just really cool and nice to have with the gun. Some military surplus ammo, it is still pretty affordable. Like Yugoslavian and Romanian 8mm Mauser surplus is pretty cheap stuff. I would almost say that it's cheaper than some of the commercial stuff that I've seen. So I would say that's a little bit more of not an accessory and just more of a thing to buy. But original World War II or World War I vintage ammunition and ammunition boxes, I think, are a really cool addition to any sort of Milsurp collection. So what I would say is the third most important accessory that you could get with a military surplus firearm is an ammunition pouch. So typically when it comes to the vintage of firearms that I like to collect, these are old leather pouches that are meant to hold stripper clips for the guns. So I have a couple examples here for you. This one is it's a Swedish It's sort of like a bandolier style. This one's pretty unique because the pouches are all integrated into the belt. So you could actually just put this around your waist. I'm not going to do it too low because then you wouldn't see it, but you can put this around your waist, and then you can open them up and have access to your ammo here, of course. Now, I think that this is a cool thing to have, and I've kind of debated this with some of my friends. I think me and Aaron talked about this before too, but I think that whenever you have the original pouch that the ammunition was kept in, so if I'm going to shoot a Swedish rifle, and if I have this pouch, so I'm going through the same motions and manual of arms as a Swedish soldier would have, so I feel like that connects me a little bit more with history than if I was just picking the ammo out of my pocket or picking it off a table or something like that. Also, it's really neat because whenever you use this original gear, it can kind of tell you how fast a soldier could reload. Here's an example of that. This is the ammunition belt. It's pretty similar to the Swedish one, but this is an American one. It was originally designed to carry 5-round stripper clips, but the 8-round M-block clips for the M1 fit in here perfectly, so this was used through both World Wars and afterwards. I think this was either late World War II or post-World War II made. But say if you wanted to shoot an M1 rifle, and you wanted to see how fast that thing is actually capable of being reloaded. Yeah, you could just take the rounds out of your pocket or take it off a tabletop or something like that. And that would kind of give you an idea, but it's not an accurate representation of what a soldier would have had to actually reload the gun. So if you have this original pouch, you could put this on and then you can actually simulate a reload. And Bloke on the Range, he did that in his M1 ping myth video. He reloaded from an original pouch just to show how fast a soldier could have reloaded. So I think that's a really good case for why you would want an original pouch. Plus, this is another thing that looks really good being displayed with the rifle. It's just another neat piece of history to go along with the guns, and that's exactly what I'm into. I'm into the history behind it and everything. So this is a really strong number 3 of what you want to buy whenever you get a Milsurp. Okay, the fourth thing is bayonets. And I know a lot of you are going to be really surprised that bayonets are number 4. And when I was making this list, I was honestly kind of surprised too, because bayonets tend to be the first thing that I look at whenever I buy a new rifle. Like if I buy an Arisaka, I want to look for an Arisaka bayonet, or if I buy a Swiss rifle, I want a Swiss bayonet to go with it. So now the reason why these are number 4 to me is because I don't believe that the bayonets add anything to the shooting experience of the gun. They're really cool, they're great. I like to actually have bayonets with all the guns that I have, and for most of the guns that I own, I have the bayonet to go with it. But whenever you're taking the gun to the range, or you're going to go out shooting or whatever, you're hardly ever going to attach a bayonet. Yeah, you can attach a bayonet and shoot it. However, you risk damaging the bayonet whenever you attach it to the gun and fire it. There's a video of Ian. He put a Rosalie bayonet on a label and shot, and the bayonet shot off.
That wasn't supposed to happen.
The bayonet was probably fine, but it could have been damaged. A friend of mine, he actually put a bayonet on a K98K rifle and shot it, and it broke the grips on the bayonet. So, I mean, that's literally money down the drain there, just for trying to do that. So that's kind of why bayonets are lower down. However, say if you're just a wall hanger type of collector, like you just want to hang guns on the walls and you want bayonets to go with it, yeah, bayonet's probably going to be a little higher priority for you then. But to me, they're not super practical, but they are really cool. I like to collect them. I like to collect the different variations and stuff like that. I'm not hating on bayonets. I'm just saying I think there's things that are a little bit more valuable to the modern shooter than an original bayonet. I mean, they do look great. All right, so at the very bottom of the list here, this is going to be a little bit vague, a little bit more general, because this is going to kind of depend on your gun and what you want for it. So say if you have a K98K and it's missing its sight hood, say it's one made after 1941 and it needs a sight hood, you're going to want to buy a sight hood for that. A couple other examples here. This is a brass catcher for the Swedish rifles. It's pretty neat. It hinges onto the receiver, and then just as you work the action and the shells come out, this pouch here just catches them for you. The Swedes did this because they were rationing brass during World War II and they were recycling it. So they picked up all the brass that they used on the range, and these catchers really helped with that. Now these have a pretty great modern day implications, and you can use these on other rifles outside of just Swedish rifles. So like the Spanish Chileans, the small ring Mausers, you can also use this on. So that's a really good example. Another one might be a blank firing adapter if you're into shooting blanks. Last but not least, the thing that you really want to get for your guns is the original feeding devices for them. So this is a stripper clip for the Arisaka. This is an M-block clip for a Carcano rifle. Thank you, Will, for that. So you're going to really want these original methods of feeding them because some require it. Like you can't shoot a Carcano really except for single shot without the clip for it. Mausers, you can load single shot. It's definitely not as cool to load your Mauser single shot instead of just using a stripper clip. For one, it's just a lot more fun, but it also lets you shoot a lot faster. So you can see here, I like to collect a lot of the different clips that go with the various rifles. It's sort of a pet peeve of mine to see somebody at a range with an expensive rifle shooting expensive ammo, and they're just kind of single loading it. I can get it maybe if you're doing some sort of testing, hand load, whatever stuff, but if you're just sort of having fun, these clips are really cheap. Maybe not this Arisaka one, maybe not that one, but they're usually really cheap. And you know, if you think about you're going to shoot $50 worth of ammo on a range session, why not spend an extra $5 on clips so that you can have a much more enjoyable shooting experience? So there you go. So this is part of the video where I read the comments from the previous video. To start off with, the angler responded to me responding to him in the last video where I mentioned the comment and the previous video. Anywho, he said, funny you picked my comment. If a receiver was tampered with by some wannabe gunsmith and they decided to weld some rust pits, the whole receiver's tampering might change and it might lose its hardness, rendering it unsafe. Edit, you can tell by colors appearing. Maybe do some research before you make fun of comments coming from an actual gunsmith. Genius. Angler, I had no idea that you were an actual gunsmith, and I hope that you accept my heartfelt apology. I had no idea. Hey man, you look like Elon Musk's lesser-known twin brother, the one with an arsenal. Subscribe nonetheless. Thank you. That is the first time we've gotten that. I got Macklemore quite a few times. First time Elon Musk. Boomer comments round 1, the Kyle Menace. That was great. Something weird. You sick M95 man licks a 6.5 and found out it was a Dutch carcinogen or something like that. Cheers, Swiss cheese. That's good. That's good stuff. How's the Milsurp market going to look in 2 years in your opinion? Due to the law Rick Scott signed, I won't be able to start till then. That sucks. In case you don't know, Rick Scott signed into law in Florida raising the gun buying age to 21, so you can't even buy rifles or shotguns anymore in the state of Florida unless you're 21. Super sucks. It's really sad to see that sort of stuff happening in Florida. Kind of one of the reasons why I left. Florida is kind of the new California. So, yeah, so, I mean, it's going to be really hard to say what the market's going to look like. Prices are not going down, that's for sure. Prices are going to go up, and especially if there's sort of government meddling, depending on elections and stuff like that. Prices really fluctuate like crazy, and it's really hard to predict. But what I found is that Milsurps tend to appreciate about 10% a year, sort of depending on the type of Milsurp and everything. So if you start saving now, I think by 2 years you can have a nice sum to start purchasing them. And really it's a great time to start doing research, because a lot of mistake people make is by running out and buying a gun before they know it. So I say do a ton of research over the next 2 years, save up some money, and when you turn 21, you're going to know exactly what you want and you're going to have the money to buy it. So that's not a bad situation to be in. A lot of people are asking me about this shirt in the last video. We're no longer selling the tan one. We switched to the this OD green color, and then we also have a couple other colors, but it's on Amazon now. It's not on the website. So I changed those links. So if you want a Milsurp World / Mauser shirt, It's in the Amazon link in the description. Don't buy it if you don't want it. I'm not trying to make you buy anything. Yeah, so thanks for watching the video.